Well, it is that time of year, time to enjoy the area and go and do a little exploration throughout the Tar Heel State. I've got a special guest joining me now with some suggestions. Heidi Bellotto is a Charlotte culinary expert. Heidi, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So I could say it's wine season, but I think you would correct me and say that
it's always wine season.
Okay.
But it's a good thing to talk about seasonal product and local food. You know, agriculture is this state's biggest industry. And a big part of that is the wine industry. So we have lots of farmers growing grapes, and they grow them on vineyards. There's over 400 vineyards in the state and over 100 wineries. So it's a big billion-dollar industry here.
Now help people understand there are lots in the area that we could go do a little outing over the weekend.
Absolutely.
Where are some of your favorites?
They're so close, and they're so close to Charlotte. So I have a lot of favorites, and all of them make for a good trip, but I love to go to Hanover Park. It's a very little winery right outside of Winston-Salem, but there's an old barn there, and Amy and Michael are great hosts that they own it and are the winemakers. I love to go to Rayland Vineyards. Shelton is a fun vineyard to go to, a fun winery to go to because it's huge. It's big. You can see the whole operation. You will learn from A to Z how they treat the grapes, grow the grapes, make the wine, age it, all of that. So you get the whole program. Then there's some other little ones that are just small and in people's backyards or in their barns. And it's all over. So the Yadkin Valley is not far from here. If you go to Winston-Salem, that's really kind of a gateway city to the Yadkin Valley. Raffaldini is a beautiful vineyard. It's an old Italian, or made to look like an old Italian villa, and lots to do there.
So I need some education.
Okay.
I confess to not being a wine connoisseur, but you have shared some information about the 5 S's, I believe it is. So let's have a little example.
Okay, so the 5 S's are what you need to know so you look like you know what you're doing.
Okay.
The truth is, you just are going to drink the wine.
Okay.
And none of this other stuff matters, but it's kind of fun. So we're going to pour some Rayland Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a great red. Rayland does a great job and has some wonderful wines. And so the first one is to see the wine. Now we have a black counter in front of us, so that's not a good setup for a wine tasting. You really want something white. I'm going to just turn your notes over for 1 second. So if you look at the wine onto a white piece of paper, you see the color of the wine, and that's what you're looking for. And when you're first starting, that really doesn't matter so much. But as you do it, you start to see how wines, I'm going to hold that, let me do this. There we go. How wines are different colors based on what kind of grape it is. Okay. So once you learn, as you start to learn, you learn that a Cabernet Sauvignon grape is maybe a deeper color than a Pinot Noir grape, for example.
And what will have the best flavor?
They all have great flavor.
Okay.
So the color has nothing to do with the flavor, but you're just looking at it. Now the next S is to swirl. So you just are going to swirl like that. You can pick up the glass and do it, but it's easier if you leave the stem on the table. You want to try?
Okay.
Show your hand at it, and then you can have your notes back.
Doesn't look as cool as
so
when
the
I'm getting better.
swirling, you're doing great. All that does is work oxygen into the wine. And the oxygen helps to open up the flavor. So the wine's been bottled up and kind of cooped up in there. And red wines are bottled longer because they're aged longer than white wines are. So so when you swirl, that kind of works the oxygen into it. Now there's all these gadgets you can buy now that are wine aerators that'll kind of do that for you. But
that takes the fun out of it.
It does. And just opening the bottle, that's a little space, you know, the size of a quarter. That doesn't aerate a wine very well. It's the swirling of it, or perhaps pouring it into a decanter, that really does that for you. So then you're going to smell it. After you work up the oxygen and get the wine moving around, if you just stick your nose in there, and you can only smell for a couple seconds. You know, there's no point holding your nose in there for a minute. You're not going to smell that long. But you can get a smell of the grapes. So if you swirl and then smell, then you can get the taste of it. Lots of times when you go into big wine tastings, they'll pour the wine in advance, and then they put a glass saucer on the top so that the aroma doesn't go out into the air. So when you lift that saucer up, you get this beautiful aroma.
Running out of time, I want to get to the other S's.
Whoops. Then you sip. So you just take a little sip. Always a fun reason to share wine with somebody.
Right.
So you sip. You savor that taste, and then if you're on a big wine tasting, big tour, you got to spit. Or you have to dump it into a bucket or something because there's no way you can swallow it all. It's
you can't even
too
have a
delicious.
designated driver to help you on that one?
Well, you could, but you know, if you're going to 4 or 5 wineries, even with a designated driver, you want to be able to walk into the place. So those are the 5 steps, and then you just enjoy it. And the truth is, you just drink the wine that you like and just enjoy it and make the most of it. North Carolina has a lot of great wines to offer.
So some great fall celebrations
Yes.
to go out and explore this wonderful
Absolutely. If people go online to each individual winery, or you can go to ncwine.org, and that'll connect you with all the wineries. You can see all the fall festivals. Lots of them have concert series and movie series. A lot of them have restaurants. A lot of them have farms.
Heidi Bellotto, culinary expert here in Charlotte. We're so glad that you brought educated me a little bit on wine, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
My
this weekend.
pleasure.
From drink